This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so today is the Wednesday, May 12th, and as always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. So past 2 days that we've had this week, we've had pretty much trading almost the entire day, something popping up here and there. So we're going to, hopefully we're going to keep up that same momentum that we've had going on. And we definitely got some stuff going on in the pre-market. So first thing's going to be this PLTR. So coming down to that 20 level, unfortunately, it is a little bit mixed. And one thing that we know about the 20 is that they're just one of their favorite spots to actually build at. But the one thing that we do need to take into account, and I know, typically we would look for things with new stories, but unfortunately at this moment, there's not as many. Yesterday, coming down into that 1950, we had more than enough selling, for us to get to 19. So really going to be taking a look to see if we're going to continue to get that selling coming in this morning, because then there's no reason that this 20 should not reject this thing all the way back to 19. And then obviously from there, we can continue to go. But from what we do know is we do have the selling at 1950 in order to get to that 19 at this moment. The one thing that I definitely would have liked to see is just a little bit cleaner at that 20, because you can see it's just a mix of those bids and asks, and none of them really that jump out that much in comparison to the others. So I'm really going to need to see just a little bit more. But if we come over here, you can see somebody did actually sell 30,000 shares at 20. One of the biggest prints that we did see this morning coming in at any type of level. So just something to definitely keep an eye on. But I'm going to have to go with a lot of the story from yesterday, because the story this morning isn't that clean. And like I said, it's got the selling from 1950 to be able to get us back down to 19. Next thing we're looking at is FUBO. So another one where coming down this morning, so coming to that 21 level, didn't really see as much as I would like. And the reason I say that is because we have selling and we have buying. It was just a complete mix again. Didn't really give us a definitive prints for us to really know exactly what needs to happen. And that's exactly what we're going to have to wait for. Now, on average, it trades $2.74. Yesterday, you could see the volume, 32 million comparison to the basically 12 million that it usually trades. So this morning, almost, over 2.5 million shares. We could definitely expect that range to be a little bit higher. But just like everything else, we're going to need some clean prints at some type of level. The one thing that we also know, though, is that 20 level, I will not be shocked at all if they come back to that 20 to be able to test it. I know it closed at 1767, so we kind of had that jump back up, but the 20 is just too big of a level to be able to build on for them not to bring it back there. Now, I saw, obviously it was earnings yesterday that popped this up. So, it's kind of sitting in that consolidation. It's still a little bit bullish, but again, it just kind of jumped past that 20, not a ton of real room to be able to build there. So we're going to have to expect them to bring it back down. But it really comes down to the controlling prints, and we just don't have clean ones out there yet. Next thing looking at is RBLX. So just before we started, we had a beautiful bid aspirants, that came in at 74.50. Our reaction afterwards is 74.50 on that bid side. So based off of them being so far out of print personality, I'm going to have to assume that they're going to continue on their way down. These being those riders that are telling us that we're going to get more of that move. And after that move to the downside, what we're going to be doing is obviously looking for the 74.50 to end up making its money to come back up. Just be careful, because 75 is a huge psychological number overall. It's like one of those super psychological numbers. So I'm going to have to assume that there's going to be a lot of games played there. It's just something that we have to do because of how big that level is going to be. But it's going to be looking for the downside first, based off these riders coming in, and then this 74.50 ask making their money back towards that upside. Next thing looking at is EYES. So in this consolidation, we saw a hell of a lot of buying, and we know there's going to be selling. It closed at 5, jumped up to 640. So we know we're going to see that. So the most important thing is, did it get that new buying? And it got a ton of it. So based off that much buying, it's really kind of pulling back towards that 6 on a building, to build, not actually coming towards that downside. So we're going to be looking for a trigger back up towards that 625. 625 has more than enough buying to get us up to 650. And based off what we're seeing so far, the range, we're going to expect it to be a little bit bigger. So really, we're going to be looking in that 7 range, for the overall. But because of the fact that right now it's really kind of consolidated, we have to kind of start with 650 with a conservative number, knowing that it really should be able to get to that 7 level. And then our side list stock, LHDX. So it was side list until, of course, right before our meeting, we started coming back up. Let's take a look. What did it get at 7? Anything special? It's not going to let me go back. All right, so we could see that, we were in this consolidation right here. We had some pretty decent buying around that 625. We pulled back from it, got that huge volume, obviously big change in personality to push us up to that 7. Unfortunately, like I said, I was talking, I did not see if it actually hit those 7 prints. I'm going to have to assume there was something there based off of the amount of volume breakouts that we've seen. Had 3 ask. Okay, so really weak coming up there. But one thing that we've seen, especially from this move coming up, is that a few prints went a long way, especially towards that downside, because there just wasn't a crazy amount of prints happening here. And we could see that just based off the volume itself. The volume was really low during that. So this volume coming up huge, definitely weak at 7. We want to see more there, which would tell us then a pullback and then a move towards that upside. Because otherwise, with 3 ask prints, we really can't do that much with only a $7 stock. So we got some decent things going on out there, but a lot of them, we're just going to need those really definitive controlling prints before we can actually make our game plans from that. Now, anything else out there that I missed? Anything else out there that I missed? All right, I think that's it. So let's get ready for our morning. I will talk to everyone in the chat, and happy trading.